Hi there, this is Laura Dovallo. Today I'm making a magic slider card, mostly with La Pareja Creativa products. As soon as I saw the new stamp set with the cute bunnies, I knew that I wanted to create a card like this. I started by die cutting the main panel of the card with the second largest die of the stitched rectangle set. I'm going to use the partial die cutting technique to make it a little longer. I placed the upper cutting plate about half an inch from the border of the die, and now I'm rolling it through the big shot. Now I'm going to peel off the washi tape and move the die until I'm happy with the length of the panel. Mine will be 6 4/8 of an inch long. This time I'm placing the cutting plate so that it only touches the edge of the die. And here's my panel. We shouldn't do this technique often since the dies can end up distorted, but it's a great way to make the most of your dies. As you can see, I've already stamped, colored and die cut the main elements of the card, and now I'm going to emboss part of the sentiment in silver. But first I'm getting rid of the hat and bunny, adjusting the magnets and applying baby powder with a brush. A lot of baby powder. Now I'm inking the stamp twice with some Versamark ink and finally applying the silver embossing powder. This powder is by Lawn Fawn. Before opening the jar, I shake it a little, because in a humid climate caking can occur, and I hate it when a clump of powder falls on my card. It's been raining for a couple of days, so I'm heating the cardstock before applying my heat gun to the embossing powder. It looks pretty good. To stamp the first part of the sentiment, I trace a line with the help of a T-ruler and a pencil. That way I can place the stamp straight and get a perfect impression. Can you tell that I'm a perfectionist? I use Tuxedo Black Memento ink, and although it's a dye ink and should dry pretty fast, I smudged it just a bit with my eraser. Maybe I'm the only one who notices these things. Now I'm marking the center so that I can cut a semi-circle, which will allow me to access the sliding panel. As always, I'm using my 1-inch Fiskars circle punch for that. I'm putting back the elements so that I can mark the position of the top hat. I'll use one of the La Pareja Creativa slider dies to create an opening in the main panel, but as you can see, it's too long and won't be covered by the hat. No problem, because we can use the partial die cutting technique this time to shrink the die cut shape. I've attached the die to the panel, and now I'm placing the upper cutting plate so that I can die cut first one side before moving the die and the cutting plate and cutting the other side. All done. Now we can erase the pencil marks and continue. I'm going to use the stitched border as a guide to adhere some foam tape as straight as possible along 3 of the edges of the back of the main panel. It's important so that the slider panel can move effortlessly, so take your time to do it. It's also important to maintain our desk clean, because when I turned over the panel, I discovered some ink smudges on it. I didn't feel like repeating the whole thing, so I'll just use some embellishments to cover them. Let's see how wide our slider panel should be. Mine measures 2 3/8 of an inch. I'm not worrying about the length just yet. I slip the strip into the main panel and mark a line where I should cut it. And it's a perfect fit. The interactive die set by La Pareja Creativa also has some mini arrows, which are ideal for these types of cards. I die cut a piece of black cardstock with score tape on the back, and now I'm gluing the arrow to the center of the sliding panel. And next I'm going to use some foam adhesive to glue the bunny to the sliding panel through the slit. I like these thin ones by Scrapbook Adhesives. Let's make sure that the bunny can hide behind the hat. That way it can slide perfectly when we pull the panel. Okay, the bunny is in its place. To attach the top hat, which is by Sizzix, I will need thicker foam squares. I'll only attach them to the corners so that the bunny won't stick. Now I can finally glue it in its place. Let's get rid of the release paper and get to it. Okay, I'm trying the mechanism and everything looks great. Now we just have to embellish the panel and glue it to a card base, and we're all done. My card base measures 3 3/4 by 6 5/8 of an inch when it's folded. Here's a crafty tip. To attach the panel perfectly, I partially strip away the release paper of the foam tape and center the panel on the card base. Then I can gently press it down and pull at the release paper strips. To decorate the card, I've used a couple of stars that I die cut from the set Noche Estrellada, or Starry Night. Some stars are cut out of silver or glitter cardstock, and the rest of an embossed piece of cardstock. I place them on the card, making sure that there are no funny bits peeking out behind the bunny. Lastly, to make it easier to grab the slider panel, I'm applying some glossy accents to the arrow. You could also use an enamel dot in the shape of a triangle for this if you don't have any arrow dies. And now our interactive magic card is finished. I hope you liked today's tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Here are a couple of pictures of the card. See you next time. Bye bye. Ciao.